The Factory Secrets Behind American Bourbon. The Illusion of Choice. Walk into any liquor store and you will see what looks like a competitive marketplace. 40 different brands, heritage labels, wax seals, founder portraits, promises of limestone water, and generational recipes passed down through Kentucky farming families. It feels like independent craftsmen competing to put something better in your glass. That is an illusion. 4 massive companies control the overwhelming majority of bourbon sold in the United States: Beam Suntory, Heaven Hill, Brown-Forman, and Sazerac. Between them, they own dozens of labels that appear to be separate competing brands. Jim Beam, Knob Creek, Basil Hayden's, and Booker's are all Beam Suntory, all distilled at the same facility in Claremont, Kentucky. Evan Williams, Elijah Craig, Larceny, and Rittenhouse are all Heaven Hill, all from the same distillery in Bardstown. Old Forester and Woodford Reserve are both Brown-Forman. Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare, Blanton's, and every Van Winkle expression on earth are all Sazerac, all made at one distillery in Frankfurt. When you reach for a different bottle because your usual brand disappointed you, there is a real chance you are handing money to the exact same company. They know that. They designed it that way. But consolidation is just the beginning. What actually happens inside that system is what they need you to never figure out. The labeling loophole. The problem starts with a loophole buried in federal labeling regulations. The TTB, the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, governs what bourbon labels can and cannot say, and the gap it allows is enormous. When a bottle says distilled by, that company made the whiskey. When it says produced by, which is perfectly legal TTB language, it means something entirely different. It means combined, processed, or handled. It does not mean distilled. When it says bottled by, you already know the answer. Most consumers never notice the difference between those 3 phrases. The industry has built hundreds of millions of dollars per year on that gap in attention. In Lawrenceburg, Indiana, a different Lawrenceburg from the Kentucky town where wild turkey is made, and the industry is perfectly happy you will not check, there is a facility called MGP, Midwest Grain Products. MGP is one of the largest whiskey producers in the United States. They distill bourbon and rye in industrial quantities, then sell that distillate to other companies who bottle it, name it, and sell it as their own. The TTB assigns every licensed producer a number called a DSP, a distilled spirits plant number. That number must appear somewhere on the label, but it can be the buyer's DSP number, registered at their bonded warehouse or office, not the actual makers. So when a brand lists a Kentucky, Iowa, or Texas address, it looks like they are distilling there. They may never have operated a still in that state in their lives. How the model works here is exactly how the sourced bourbon playbook operates. A company forms. They hire a branding agency. They design a gorgeous bottle, thick glass, a handsome stopper, a name that sounds like it belongs on a Prohibition-era land deed. They write a founding story, a grandfather, a recipe, a promise to never cut corners. Then they call MGP and place an order. They buy distillate at commodity prices. They age it in their own warehouse for a year or 2. Then they sell it for $50 or $60 with back label language about hand-selected barrels and the master distiller's uncompromising vision. None of that copy is technically illegal. Every word of it is designed to make you believe something that is not true. Templeton Rye is the clearest example. The brand built its entire identity around one story, a Prohibition-era family recipe from Iowa, passed down through generations, made the old way. That story was on the bottle, on the website, and in every magazine profile. The 2015 lawsuit established that Templeton was sourcing virtually its entire product from MGP in Indiana. Not Iowa, not a family recipe, but a commodity order placed at an industrial facility that was simultaneously supplying dozens of other brands. The settlement cost them $2.5 million. The brand barely flinched. Bulleit's rye expression was sourced from MGP for most of the brand's history. Bulleit is owned by Diageo, the British multinational behind Johnnie Walker and Captain Morgan, and it generates $17 billion in annual revenue, while presenting itself as a Kentucky craft story. High West, Redemption, Smooth Ambler, Angel's Envy before they built their own facility, Pendleton, George Dickel's Rye, all sourced, all labeled produced by, while implying something else entirely. MGP's signature high rye mash bill, 95% rye and 5% malted barley, became so distinctive that experienced tasters were identifying it blind across a dozen different brands. Same whiskey, different names, prices ranging from $25 to $80. When whiskey writer Chuck Cowdery published research mapping MGP's distillate to branded products beginning in 2012, several brands denied it publicly and confirmed it quietly in SEC filings the same week. The ones that got caught mostly survived. The ones that did not get caught are still on your shelf right now. The craft boom made it worse. After 2010, loosened state licensing laws and an explosion of consumer enthusiasm created an opening for thousands of new distilleries. The vocabulary of craft appeared on shelves overnight. Single estate, founder distilled, heritage grain, stone milled heirloom corn. Every visual and linguistic signal of authenticity was deployed by people who in many cases had never produced a drop of aged bourbon in their lives. Here is the problem nobody explained. Real craft credibility requires aged whiskey. Aged whiskey requires starting your distillery years before you want to sell anything. You cannot open a distillery in 2011 and sell legitimately aged bourbon in 2012. So instead, hundreds of new brands did exactly what the economics demanded. They called MGP, bought young bulk whiskey, and put it in tiny barrels, 1 gallon, 3 gallon, 5 gallon, because small barrels extract wood compounds faster. You can technically call something aged after 8 months in a container that small. Then they bottled it for $60 with language about the founder's obsession with craft. What small barrels actually do is extract tannins quickly and integrate them badly. The wood hits the spirit before anything else has developed. You get bourbon that tastes like it was near oak without tasting like it aged in it, loud, one-dimensional, and aggressive in all the wrong ways. The label was designed to make sure consumers never thought to ask how long the distillery had even been open. Federal law requires that if a bourbon is under 4 years old, the age must appear on the label. If it is 4 years or older, disclosure is optional. The industry figured out quickly that optional disclosure disappears the moment it becomes inconvenient. Walk the bourbon aisle right now and count the bottles that tell you exactly how old the whiskey is. You will finish before you reach the end of the first row. The Heaven Hill Fire and what it taught the industry. In November 1996, a lightning strike ignited rickhouses at Heaven Hill's Bardstown Distillery. The fire burned for 2 days. 7 warehouses collapsed. Roughly 90,000 barrels of aging bourbon were destroyed, about 1% of all bourbon aging in Kentucky at the time. Whiskey flowing from the burning warehouses caught fire and turned Bernheim Creek into a river of flame for miles. Heaven Hill lost their distillery and had to contract distilling at Brown Forman's facilities for years while they rebuilt. The Elijah Craig and Evan Williams expressions, consumers trusted, were being made at a different company's plant under a contract agreement that was never prominently disclosed. The products tasted essentially the same. The story on the label implied something that was no longer happening in the way it appeared. That event taught the industry a lesson it never forgot. Consumers trust the name on the label even when what is behind that name has fundamentally changed. That trust is worth protecting, not for the consumer's benefit, but for the company's bottom line. Disappearing age statements. Elijah Craig's 12-year age statement was a benchmark, proof that quality and fair pricing could coexist. In 2016, Heaven Hill discontinued it. They did not announce a shortage. They announced an evolution. The price stayed the same. The number disappeared. Sales barely moved. What fills that space is language engineered to sound like transparency while containing nothing verifiable, aged to the peak of its maturity, bottled when our master distiller says it is ready, carefully selected for optimal expression. These phrases mean exactly as much as the marketing department decided they should mean. That is not a coincidence. That is the strategy. What they do inside the bottle. Something else happens that no standard label will ever tell you about. It is called chill filtration. Before bottling, whiskey is cooled to near freezing temperatures. Naturally occurring fatty acids and proteins drop out of suspension in the cold and get filtered away. The reason is cosmetic. Those compounds cause whiskey to turn cloudy when cold water or ice is added, and a hazy bottle on a retail shelf looks defective. So the compounds get removed. But those fatty acids carry flavor, the mouthfeel, and coating texture that makes a finish last 45 seconds instead of 10 seconds. Strip them out and the product looks cleaner. It also drinks flatter. Booker's Bourbon, uncut, unfiltered, straight from the barrel at Jim Beam, sells for $60 to $80. Standard Jim Beam white label sells for $20. Part of that $40 gap is everything the standard process removed. Same distillery, same mash bill. You are paying a premium to get back what they took out of the cheaper bottle. Next to chill filtration sits caramel coloring, specifically E150A, a food-grade additive that the majority of bourbon producers add to standardize color across batches. Barrels at different positions in a rickhouse can experience temperature swings of 40 degrees Fahrenheit in a Kentucky summer. Upper floors run hotter, lower floors cooler, and the whiskey they produce looks completely different. That variation is natural. It also makes mass market retailers nervous when two bottles from the same case look nothing alike. So E150A goes in until everything hits the same shade. The warm amber glow in your glass that signals age, oak, and time may have come from years in a barrel. It may equally have come from a laboratory additive. That information is not on the label. The TTB does not require it. The distillery has no reason to volunteer it. In 2013, Maker's Mark sent a letter to their mailing list, quietly announcing they were lowering the proof of their flagship bourbon from 90 to 84. Not a press release, not a trade announcement. It was a letter to their most loyal customers, the people least likely to cause a scene, informing them the bottle they had been buying for years was about to contain less alcohol at the same price. The stated reason was supply constraints. The real calculation was straightforward. Lower proof means more bottles per barrel, and more bottles per barrel means more revenue without building new capacity. Drinkers noticed within days. Forums exploded. Bill Samuels Jr. reversed the decision publicly within 2 weeks. The fact that they tried it discreetly, assuming the people who loved the product most would not notice it had changed, tells you everything you need to know about how this industry operates when nobody is watching. How to stop getting played. If the entire market is working against you, does that mean you walk away? No, it means you stop shopping like a consumer and start thinking like an investigator. Use the DSP number. Every bourbon label carries a distilled spirits plant number. DSP KY West 1 is Buffalo Trace. DSP KY 50 is Heaven Hill's Bardstown facility. DSP KY 354 is Wild Turkey. The TTB public database lets you look up any DSP number and see exactly who it belongs to and where they operate. Pull out your phone in the liquor store and search the number on the bottle you are holding. If it matches the distillery named on the front, that brand is making what they are selling. If it points to a warehouse in Indiana, you now know exactly what you are buying and why the label says produced by instead of distilled by. Find single barrel store picks. Major distilleries like Wild Turkey, Four Roses, Heaven Hill, and Buffalo Trace allow individual retailers to visit the rickhouse, taste barrels directly from the wood, select the one they want, and bottle it under their store's private label. The retailer tastes anywhere from 5 to 20 barrels and picks the one that stands out. It goes on the shelf, usually at the same price as the standard expression, or just $5 to $10 more. What is inside is completely different. Uncut, unblended, often at barrel proof, nothing added, nothing removed, no chill filtration, no E150A to standardize the color. Just the whiskey exactly as it came from the barrel, selected by someone whose entire reputation depends on it being exceptional. And because a store pick legally requires full disclosure of the actual producer, you get complete transparency alongside dramatically better whiskey at essentially the same price as the sourced bottle with the beautiful label sitting right next to it. Find a store in your area that does barrel picks. Make friends with whoever selects them. Ask when the next one arrives. That relationship is worth more than any amount of online research or secondary market hunting. The brands that never needed a factory secret. Some bottles have been telling the truth the entire time. Wild Turkey Wonder 1 has been produced at the same distillery in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, under master distiller Jimmy Russell since 1954. Russell joined at 18 years old and is now in his 80s, still there, still overseeing every batch. He has never sourced a drop from Indiana, never dropped an age statement to cover a shortage, and has never created artificial scarcity around a $25 bottle. Wild Turkey 101 costs $20 to $25 and it regularly outperforms $60 bottles because it was built to be drunk, not displayed. No wax seal, no grandfather story, no founder portrait, just bourbon made by a man who has been doing it since the Eisenhower administration and who has not changed his approach once. Old Forester has been made by Brown-Forman since 1870. George Garvin Brown made it the first bourbon ever sold exclusively in sealed bottles. At a time when whiskey adulteration was so common it was genuinely killing people, a sealed bottle was a direct promise of purity. That no shortcuts philosophy runs through every expression the brand produces today. The 100 proof bottling costs $25 and it outperforms bottles at twice its price. It has never needed a founding myth because it has been telling the truth since before your grandparents were born. The big brands are counting on your distraction. They are counting on the wax seal, the hand-lettered label, and the grandfather portrait to do the work the liquid should be doing on its own. They are counting on you to never look up a DSP number, never notice the difference between distilled by and produced by, and never walk to the back corner of the store where a single barrel store pick from an actual distillery has been sitting quietly at the same price as the sourced bottle with the beautiful label right next to it. The whiskey, worth your money, has been there the entire time. Find the DSP numbers. Find the store picks. Read the label before you read the story. Stop paying someone else to explain why it is special.